Good morning, friends. We have a very exciting day ahead of us exploring Svalbard. We have not one, but two excursions booked. The first one is with Hurtigruten Svalbard, and we're going on a wildlife cruise. It should be pretty exciting, so stick around. On this episode, we're on a boat. We start our day on expedition with Svalbard Hurtigruten on a hybrid electric catamaran touring the nearby fjords and glaciers. We see incredible wildlife and stunning scenery. In the afternoon, we head back to Longyearbyen and relax at the local Husky Cafe before we take off on our second adventure on an enclosed rib boat tour with Better Moments. It's a jam-packed day, so stick around. We met our Svalbard Hurtigruten Tour in the center of town and got a bus to the boat.
We got picked up at the Radisson Blu in town by a big shuttle bus, and they brought us to the harbor. Now we're on our hybrid electric catamaran, ready to go out to sea.
Since you went away, it came to a halt.
Look at this beast of a camera that I've got. I rented the lens from Svalbard Camera Rental. It's pretty good so far, but the true test will be when we actually see some wildlife. The ship we were on was huge and could easily hold 150 people, but luckily there weren't nearly that many on board. There's plenty of seating both inside and out, and lots of space to move around because the ship has 3 levels. There's also a bar where you can purchase drinks, and of course there are restrooms too. And if you forgot your binoculars, they had spare pairs to use. One of the highlights of our tour was the onboard scientists. They would talk about everything we were seeing and give us tons of information. We could stay warm and listen to them inside, but we could also hear them outside over the ship's speakers. We learned a bunch of really interesting facts from these talks.
What's particularly interesting though is that this isn't what a puffin looks like most of the time. For about 3 or 4 months they'll look like this. The rest of the year, this is a puffin. That's what a puffin looks like. When you see this is breeding plumage, this is the rest of the time. Take a look at the beak first of all. It's a completely different shape, isn't it? Not only does it change colour quite dramatically, but this is a very, very tall beak. It's about as tall as it is wide. That one's not. So something strange is happening there. Look at the little triangular patch around the eye. That's gone. The little yellow button on the side of the face. Very, very cute. That's gone. And all of the white feathers with it. So this is a good clue as to the breeding habits and the preferences of the Atlantic puffin. First of all, why do we never see this? Why do we never see this puffin? If you Google the word puffin, you're going to see this over and over and over again. Why not this, if this is what they look like? The reason is because when they're like this, they're nowhere near land. They only come back to land in the summer because it's actually very hard to lay an egg and look after it in the middle of the Atlantic. So where does this big beak come in? How is this happening? This is basically because puffins love the colour orange. There is nothing more sexy to a puffin than something big and something orange. So the big beak of the summer puffin, well, that's awesome. That's just about as sexy as it gets, but it's not real. No, the puffins fake it. Basically, an evolutionary quirk means that this big orange beak we see here is just a big shell around their actual beak. Their actual beak is this shape. But because the puffins were selecting for bigger and bigger beaks, if one of them were to, by random chance, develop a strange shell around their beak that was bright orange, that puffin would be selected for first, so it would have the most babies year on year. And it did, and lots of others have the same, and eventually it becomes all of them that have this big shell. But at the end of the summer, around September time, this cracks and comes off. It basically just separates and falls to pieces, and they're left with this one underneath. So it's a really interesting thing, and no one ever really shows you this. You know, you see National Geographic and it's like, puffins, there you go. No one ever shows you this one. But there we go. When they're on these islands, they'll often come back with fish hanging out of their mouths. That's, by the way, the reason that they have this yellow spot. This yellow spot is a stretchy bit of skin. means that they can open their beak really, really wide and hold about 60 to 100 fish all at once in their beak. Little sand eels, they like little skinny things.
Not possible.
So yeah, they'll come back with a load of fish hanging from their mouth. Most of the time then, they're going to get attacked.
There's a polar bear out there. It's pretty crazy. Can't believe that we're actually seeing a polar bear. It's a polar bear. Svalbard is one of the best places to see polar bears, but seeing one is not a guarantee. We were really lucky to see a polar bear on our very first excursion. It was incredible, but as you can see, we were really far away. Our big ship couldn't get any closer, so binoculars and a very long lens are a must when visiting Svalbard. This is a pretty accurate visual of how far from land we were, and now zooming in. This was taken using 3x zoom on our phones, and you can still barely see anything. The camera lens I rented was a 200 to 600 millimeter lens, and at 200 millimeters, things still looked like dots. Even at 600 millimeters, things were still really small, and the movement of the boat made it really difficult to get decent shots. Take a look at this footage and compare it to the unstabilized version. The waves make it nearly impossible to get a steady shot. Even so, we still had a great time and felt really lucky to see a polar bear.
Got some walruses in the water. Barely can see them.
Well, this cruise has been pretty epic so far.
Oh yeah, we started off with a polar bear. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty great start. Granted, the polar bear was very, very, very far away.
Yeah.
But they give you binoculars. But they give you binoculars on the boat, so we had a pretty good view of it.
Yeah.
Don't know if we got any great footage of it, but at least we saw one.
Yeah, he was doing some reindeer hunting.
He wasn't successful.
No. Which actually is not a typical thing from the past for polar bears. Usually they would just eat walruses and seals.
Because those walruses and seals have a lot more fat, which is beneficial to polar bears that need to help survive the winter.
Yeah, but in the recent times they've been having to resort to hunting reindeer. Doesn't seem like an easy job.
They speculate that it's because of climate change. The polar bear has to change its habits. So another way that environment is changing. Something that you can't avoid when you're a tourist in the Arctic. You're gonna notice these things.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of reindeer, and that's really cool. And we've seen some abandoned houses. We are loving the scenery here. It's absolutely incredible. I don't know how to describe it.
It's surreal.
It is surreal. It's a pretty nice cruise. We are with Hurtigruten Svalbard, and right now there are 39 people aboard, including us.
Yes.
This cruise can be quite packed, from what we understand. It's a big ship. I'm just glad that we have plenty of moving room. Like right now, we are the only people outside.
Yeah.
It's not that bad as long as you're prepared for the weather.
There's definitely a windy side to the boat and a not windy side.
We are currently on the not windy side, and it is much nicer.
Oh yeah.
But I think we got to get back to the wildlife viewing. There is just so much to see here. The next stop on our BILLEFJORDEN adventure is Pyramiden. Pyramiden is a mostly abandoned Soviet-era coal mining settlement, and visiting here is actually a very popular day tour for tourists staying in Longyearbyen. Normally, there are many tours that stop here and allow you to go ashore. However, due to the ongoing conflict with Russia, most of these tours have stopped, and now you just pass by Pyramiden on your way to something even better, a stunning glacier. Almost 60% of Svalbard is covered by glaciers, so you'll see plenty on your visit, and trust us, they never get old. If you're lucky, you might even see some wildlife.
There it is. We've got a whale.
And sort of putting this strong seals there stuck in the middle of the ice with a deepening conversation.
Are they the two very far in the middle? There's two black dots in the middle. There, whale.
Real close to those.
You can see the tail too.
After that absolutely thrilling whale encounter, we went inside to warm up and get some lunch. Lunch was included in the price of our tour. We've got some soup for lunch. I'm very looking forward to this because it's cold outside. That's really
Hi,
good.
everyone. My name is
Vegetable-y, carroty,
so you might be
delicious.
surprised
It's gluten-free, dairy-free, all the frees,
the building,
but it's actually good.
The same building as where the museum is. If you haven't been there, I recommend it.
Oh my gosh,
And I'm gonna
it
talk to
keeps
you a bit
getting
about,
better and
something
better.
different.
Very windy when you're moving.
So windy
It's hard to stand.
and bumpy.
Yeah.
After lunch, our ship made the very scenic journey back to Longyearbyen.
Just on our walk back to the hotel to relax a little bit. Seeing some reindeer on the way.
Well, we just got back from our excursion with Svalbard Hurtigruten, and it's a pretty cool experience.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we saw so much. We saw, ow, my camera big. We saw tons of mountains, we saw a glacier, we saw icebergs from the sea, not icebergs really, but we saw chunks of ice breaking off from the sea ice that is currently in the process of melting because it's spring now. And that doesn't even include all the animals we saw today.
Yeah, we saw reindeer, polar bear.
Polar bear, a singular polar bear.
We saw a couple walruses, but they were only sticking their heads out of the water, so it was kind of hard to see.
Yeah, we didn't get a great view of the walruses, but that was really cool to see. We saw some seals, tons of different types of birds.
I think that covers it for animals.
No, we forgot the best part.
What?
Other than the polar bear,
Oh.
we saw a minke whale.
Oh, yes.
And it was so close to the boat. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the excursion was a pretty big ship. It could fit a ton of people. It had a bar as well as like fresh food you could buy, and lunch was included, and it was a delicious carrot soup. I don't know, carrot soup doesn't sound great, but this was really good. Something that sets this tour apart from others is that they give informational lectures throughout, so we learned a ton of facts about Svalbard and the nature of it, the geology, and the animals. Really cool.
Yeah, it was very informational, and you could even still hear them when you were outside the boat, so that was nice.
Yeah, they had speakers projecting out everywhere outside the boat as well. I'd say overall, this was absolutely worth the price.
Oh yeah. Now we're heading to the Husky Cafe, which is a fun little cafe where people drop off their huskies for the day.
Just like many other places in Svalbard, you have to take off your shoes when you come to the Husky Cafe. They have some nice shoe racks for you. Well, we came to the Husky Cafe and we got some hot chocolate. Mine is raspberry. That is so good. It's hot. We got a caramel cheesecake to try, and this looks really good. It's got layers. There's cheesecake in the middle, caramel on top, and this crumbly cookie crumb. It looks really good. Wow, that is so good. The caramel is so rich and pairs perfectly with the cheesecake, and the cookie crumble, it's not graham cracker, it's like a shortbread crumble, which is, in my opinion, a superior cookie. It's very good. We have yet to have any of the dogs visit us, but that is our next mission.
Yeah, they're hiding over there. So we're just gonna chill and enjoy this cheesecake and hot chocolates. Maybe pet some dogs.
Worth it for the visit of the cheesecake and hot chocolate alone.
Hi there, buddy. You're a cutie. You're so soft.
So we just finished up at the Husky Cafe, and that was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, it was.
It's basically like doggy daycare for people with huskies. They can just leave their dogs at the cafe when they go to work, and during the day the dogs will get so much love and attention just from every customer who comes in and wants to give them a pet.
Yeah.
It's a great experience.
We came at kind of the end of the day, so there's only about an hour left. It's possible they had more huskies during the day, but there were only 2 there at the time we were there.
You might have better luck with more huskies if you go earlier in the day.
It is kind of a small space, so if they had a lot of huskies, it'd get pretty crowded.
The food and drinks were really good. They also have a souvenir shop with some pretty interesting things.
Yeah, it was a very nice space.
So if you're in Svalbard, definitely give the Husky Cafe a try. And now we're on to the next thing. This morning's adventure was really fun, and we've been hanging out at the hotel for a few hours now, just relaxing and getting ready, because guess what? We have another excursion.
It's a long day.
It is a long day, and we are taking advantage of the midnight sun because we booked a midnight sun catch of the day excursion with Better Moments, a tour company in Svalbard. The captain gets to pick where we go. So it'll be an adventure for everyone.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see what we can find.
If this morning was anything to go by, this one should be pretty good too.
Yep.
Hopefully the weather holds out. The clouds are rolling in. We should be picked up any moment. We're just waiting now.
We were picked up right outside our hotel in a small van and driven to our boat. Our morning tour was a huge hybrid electric catamaran, but our evening tour was a much smaller, enclosed, rigid inflatable boat. It was compact, but it had everything we needed, including a marine toilet. There were only about a dozen people aboard, but it was a tight squeeze to fit everyone in. As we settled in for our next adventure, we didn't even get to sit next to each other, but that didn't bother us too much. It wasn't long before we made our first stop to see an Arctic fox. Our midnight sun boat trip took us back to BILLEFJORDEN, and we passed by Pyramiden along the way. We were able to get a little closer to land this time because of the smaller boat. Just like the first time, we passed by Pyramiden on our way to the glacier. This time around, we didn't see any whales, but we saw lots of birds and some seals. Dinner was included and was delicious carrot soup and brownies.
That's good stuff.
We just got back from our second excursion of the day with Better Moments, the Catch of the Day tour. Yep. That was pretty cool. The unfortunate part is that it is exactly the same as what we did earlier today.
Yeah, the same route.
On our first tour, we saw a polar bear.
Yep, we were the lucky ones.
We were really lucky, but word got around to other tour companies, and that is the reason why our second tour went exactly where we did, because they were trying to find a polar bear. And because it was Catch of the Day, it allows the captain freedom to choose the route. And of course, they're going to choose the one with the potential to see a polar bear.
Polar bear is about the number one thing you could try to see here. So
yeah, who knows what we would have seen or done if we hadn't seen a polar bear earlier today. But the good news is that we did see different things this time.
Yeah, we saw an Arctic fox, which was pretty cool.
That was so cool. It's just running along on the beach. We didn't see a polar bear the second time around.
Nope.
But we did see some seals swimming in the water, which was also really cool. We also had carrot soup again.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny.
Second time of the day?
Second time of the day, different carrot soup from a different place. Very good, though.
Yeah, both very good.
Both very good. This tour was worth it. I'm not disappointed that we went to the same place twice. Mm-hmm. And we had different weather this time around, too.
It's definitely a much different experience with the two types of boats being on the Hurtigruten, what would you call it?
It was a hybrid electric catamaran.
Yeah, like almost like a mini cruise ship versus like a rib boat that's covered.
Yeah, it's very different. Like the Hurtigruten, we lucked out because there were only 39 people aboard, but there could be a ton more people aboard, especially in peak season. We're still at the beginning of peak season, maybe still into shoulder season, not quite sure. But we really lucked out with the Hurtigruten. And then on the second boat, it was an enclosed rib boat, and that can only fit
like 10 or 12?
I think it can only fit 12 people, and we had the max capacity.
Yeah.
And it was tight.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a tight fit.
Yeah.
The benefits of the bigger boat are that you don't feel the big waves as much, which is nice. It's a smoother ride.
Yeah, not as bumpy.
Not as bumpy, and you get a lot more space to move around, and you get some pretty good vantage points because you can be high up above the water.
Yeah.
So you get some nice vantage points looking down on the water.
Right.
The benefits of the smaller boat are that it can get a little closer into land, so you might be a little closer to some animals.
Yeah, a little easier for photography, although you still kind of need a long lens.
You definitely need a long lens, but the downsides of both are that with the Hurtigruten, again, you can't get as close to land, so you really need a long lens with that one.
Yeah, those polar bears, even if you see them, are still little white specks.
Yeah, they're still little. And the downsides of the enclosed rib boat are that it's super bumpy and the space is very confined.
Yeah, not good for motion sickness, that's for sure.
No, we had some issues on our trip. A couple people got a little motion sick on that ride. So if you are doing any sort of water activity and you are not certain about your ability to handle the waves, take Dramamine and wear C-bands.
Yeah.
Even if you've never been motion sick in your life, you never know. Don't be that person that spontaneously pukes on board.
Right. Yeah. Just take some Dramamine at minimum.
Yeah, just better safe than sorry. You won't regret it.
But we would definitely do either of these tours again. You never know what you're gonna see, so I mean, we felt like we maybe had a little less luck with the second tour, but I mean, it could have easily gone the other way. So.
Yeah, I'm still thankful that we were able to see an Arctic fox.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Yes.
That was a long day for us, and we're gonna call it a night right now. We will see you in the next one. Don't know if we got any great footage of it.
No.
Don't
Dude,
know.
the sun is so bright, you can put your hands up and it feels like they're next to a fire. Was this a video?
Also, something that sets this tour apart from others is that
What?
my arm.
Oh yeah, I know. So now you feel my pain.
They can just leave their dogs to the cafe. I'm sorry.
What are you trying to say?
I don't know.
It's possible that they had more husky.
Yeah, I'm looking. If this morning was anything to
That's like this thing's hurting you all.
We just got back from our second, what's it called? Excursion.